today's video we're going to make a cool, simple, rustic bench. We're starting with a piece of lumber here that I milled with my chainsaw mill left over from our stair project in the last video series. And so I'm going to make something useful with it. This is going to be a small 4-foot bench for Mrs. Wrangler Star for her to be in her garden so she can sit down and use it for potting or whatever. Firewood pile, I have a big selection of limbs. We just have been cleaning up some of the big Doug fir trees around, and Mrs. Wrangler Star and I stacked this up here yesterday. And limbs make excellent legs, and they also make excellent firewood, and I'll show you why. Limbs are really strong. And the reason is the density. If you look at this log right here, you can see, this is a cross section. You can see the distance between these rings, how wide they are. Some of these are 3/8 wide. Every one of those rings, as we all know, is a year of growth. So you can see that this is actually pretty, it's not a real dense wood. It does make decent firewood, but not compared to this. Look how tight. If I can get this in the frame. Look how tight these knots are. Each one of these is an annual growth ring, but see how small they are? There's more BTUs, there's more heat in limb wood than any other limb because it is so dense. Most people throw it away. I don't think there's any value in it when you're cutting wood, but it's worth saving and using for firewood. It's excellent, and it makes excellent legs for this type of thing because of its strength. So I picked out a couple of my legs. I already have these installed, obviously, but all roughly similar size. Don't get too worried about it. If they're crooked or have knots or limbs in them, that's fine. I like the character of that. I think that looks kind of cool. So you can choose to either leave the bark on or take it off. Your choice. Doesn't make any difference. But I'll take my small forest axe and knock off the limbs. As a side note, if you have a birthday coming up or know someone who has a birthday or something special, a Christmas gift, and they're kind of an outdoors type of person, I'd really recommend getting your husband one of these. It's a Grand Force Brooks small forest axe. You're going to pay pretty close to $100 on it, but the thing about this tool is it's an heirloom tool. Hand-forged, handmade in Sweden. It's just a pleasure and a joy to use. I have used mine, as you can see here, for years, and it has just been an awesome tool, and it's one of my favorite things to own. I just love putting it in my hand. The weight, balance, and feel of it is fantastic. It's how well the steel is so good, how well it holds an edge. And they actually come shaving sharp when they come from the factory, and that's pretty amazing for an axe. But so versatile. All my rough timber framing stuff, I use this. I just think the world of it. It's just perfect for small projects like this. So I drill in the holes just 1.5 inch hole, about 1.5 inches deep or so. This is 3-inch material. It's not super important. That's probably the minimum I would go. And I come in 3 inches from the edge, from both edges, and I just kind of drill at the same spot and just kind of roughly guess about a 45 degree or so. And give or take. Hole drilled. Find the smaller end on your limb wood, and then come in about 1.5 inches or so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut a ring around this, not in very deep, maybe an 3/16 or so. It just gives us kind of a starting point and a reference point for our chipping. This is where a sharp tool really comes into play. Just start taking that off and working that down. We're going to kind of put a taper on it, starting at the cut. And then keep trying it. You can always take away, but you can never add. You'll get some flat sides. Once I get the flat sides, I'll start working the corners. It'll be surprised you how quickly you'll get it. So make sure you keep checking it. Once you get it, it's a pretty tight fit, hammer it in. Hopefully, if you measured right, you should pound it into that ring we cut with our saw. Until it seats. And we've got a good, tight tapered wedge that's going to hold for a long time. Let's see, flip it over here and see how we did. So our legs are not going to be exactly the same size, so now we can trim it. So I've got it on a relatively flat surface. I can see right here the differences, and we'll start with the shortest leg and then cut the other ones down until it sits solid and doesn't wobble. So there we have it, sitting pretty level, no wobble in it. I only had to trim one leg, so got lucky there, and that's it. A project that you can do in inside of an hour. You can do it with your kids with just basic tools most people have, and